What's up, homegirls? ¿Qué onda, morras? Buenos días, tardes, o noches, since I don't know when you're listening to this. I hope your day is going good, or at least better than yesterday. Welcome to Te Crees Muy Muy, the podcast para las homegirls who are healing, growing, and figuring life out, sin plan, con flow. I'm your host, aka your Chicana homegirl from Cali, Stephanie, and as always, muchísimas gracias for pressing play and hanging out with me. And your reminder of the day, morra, el tren no se fue, tú vales oro, no migajas. Agárrate las pestañas y vámonos. Now, let's get into it. ¿Qué onda, morras? What's up with it? Welcome to episode 9 of the Crees Muy Muy podcast. I'm Stephanie, your host. Okay, so my dad is yakking downstairs on his cell phone, so hopefully eso no se escucha. Just a disclaimer, and I did turn off my little fan, but hopefully you can't hear it. Anyways, ¿cómo están? How's your January going? I hope this Monday or whatever day and time you're listening to this is going well, or at least better than yesterday. I cannot believe we're already past the middle of January. What a trip. ¿Cómo van con sus resolutions? I think I'm doing all right. 2 of them, I literally couldn't start until I got paid. So for those of you who follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, know that I'm doing a series called Fixing My Desmadre, and some of the stuff I couldn't do until I got paid. I'm at a temp position that is through an agency that's supposed to be about 2 months long, but y'all know how that goes. Sometimes you can get extended, sometimes they end you earlier, and sometimes acabas when you're supposed to. So anyways, here I go. Life is lifing right now. Anyways, so today's episode might sound a little controversial at first. Well, not really, but kinda. I think it just depends where you're coming from. These are just things I think about as a first-gen Chicana, and just to be clear, I'm talking through this from my own lens, a Mexican-American woman who has been corrected by Mexican culture and Spanish speakers from Mexico, and also things I've seen on good old Instagram. For the record, this conversation usually turns into people picking sides, talking shit to each other, the list goes on. And I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in why this hits such a nerve, especially with Spanish-only Latinos. That did not make any sense. Especially with Spanish-speaking only Latinos, right? Because once it turns into an argument, nothing really gets understood. And I'm including myself in that mix too. So ready? Because here I go. Let me get started, morras. Why? ¿Por qué does Spanglish make people so mad? I get on Instagram and I see first-gen Latinos making content in Spanglish, and the amount of hate they get is crazy, y'all. Cállate pinche pocha o pocho. Escoge un idioma. ¿Por qué juntas los dos lenguajes? Qué frustrante. ¿Por qué te haces pendejo o pendeja si sabes hablar español o en inglés? Así no se dice. Vieja ridícula, vieja ridículo. Cállense. The list goes on and on. Angry ass people. And look, I speak, read, and write both languages, but having a bilingual brain does really fuck you up sometimes. I'll read something in Spanish and my brain switches it to English, or I'll spell something how it sounds in Spanish while I'm writing in English. My brain just does that. I see a lot of comments saying that when family members go back to Mexico from the States, they don't want to speak Spanish anymore, or people think they're just showing off their English and talk shit. Se creen muy muy. Tienen el nopal en la frente. Están en México, pendejos, hablen español. And honestly, I get that part. If you are around people and you know they don't want anyone to feel left out, yeah, hablen español. But what happens when you don't know the word, or let's be real, maybe you just don't want to? Then what? Something else I've noticed on social media is that Spanish-speaking only Latinos will randomly add English words into their videos and almost nobody corrects them. Like the word fuck, F-U-C-K. A lot of them say, well, what the fuck? F-O-C-K. And nobody in the comments is like, así no se dice, etc. And I get it. English isn't their first language. But why is it okay when they do it? And when we unintentionally do it, it's immediately así no se dice all over the comments. Another example is there was this nutritionist Mexican lady, or I shouldn't say lady, era una muchacha que estaba en Monterrey. and she's a Spanish speaker, Mexican, lives there. She was making a smoothie using blueberries. And she was explaining in the video how to do it. She was talking about the other stuff que le iba a echar. She's talking about, like the nutrition aspect to it, why she added each thing. It was actually a really good video. Like she explained how this shit, right? And she kept saying blueberries while explaining the recipe. The video itself, like I said, was good, educational. It was actually helpful, right? And the comments, all of them, 99.9% were like, se llaman arándanos. ¿Por qué dices blueberries si sabes que son arándanos? People were hella pissed. They missed the message completely. Some people here and there would be like, oh, I've never seen that brand. Where do you get it? She'd be like, oh, I got it here or whatever, right? And here's the thing. There are words that I don't know in English, and there are words that I don't know in Spanish. So yeah, I can look them up later, but in real-time conversation, if someone is in front of me, I either gotta describe it or me hago bolas. Some people are patient and some people just stare at you. Same thing with using words differently. In Mexico, people say, oh, a mi esposo o a mí me tocó home office, meaning they are working from home. Someone from the States corrected a girl who uploaded a video talking about her husband, about how her husband has a hybrid schedule when he goes into the office and sometimes he works from home. And the girl said, home office is actually like your workspace. You're describing your home office. And damn, the way that girl got attacked. So that's where I started asking myself, why aren't we allowed to make mistakes, but they are? And if we correct them, suddenly it's pinche pocha or te crees muy muy. And some of you might be like, who cares? Just speak the language you want and move on. But I do care when I get corrected, because why are you policing the way I speak? A lot of these examples are ways first-gen kids get shit on from both sides. And what I mean by both sides is the US doesn't fully want us here and say that when we speak English, we have an accent, or que no lo hablamos bien. And a lot of us weren't born in our parents' countries, right? Some of us only went back to our parents' country during the summers or for the fiestas or for Christmas. Some go every year. Some never went at all because their parents no longer had family there, so it just didn't happen. Some, their parents can't go for legal status reasons, so the kids continue the tradition of going without their parents and going to their grandparents' house or their tios or their tias, and some didn't, right? I just think it's a double-edged sword. And when we get corrected, it feels personal. Most of the time, the tone sounds irritated or defensive. Hey homegirls, before you keep listening, did you know I made y'all a journal? It's a short, cute, 15 pages pa que no andes toda confundida. Sí, un journal. It's called El Journal de Mis Life Shoulds. It's not a miracle fix. Let's keep it real. It's not a whole heal in 10 days type of thing, because let's be real, you've been carrying all this shit since you were younger. It's a small, simple tool to help you check in with yourself instead of bottling everything up. I made 2 versions, PDF if you want to print it and actually write it right inside, or a Google Doc if you want to do it from your phone. Think of heal on the go, right? And girl, si tienes tiempo de andar allí stalking your ex-boyfriend for 20 minutes on any social media platform, you got time pa esto. Y esto honestly, it's better for you. The link is in my bio. Now, let me go ahead and get back to this episode. People think we're doing it on purpose, we're being all payasos about it, and we're not. A lot of us grew up with Spanish as our first language. My parents, till this day, don't speak much English. So when we were translating and interpreting at a young age, it was just expected. Tú que sabes inglés, a ver, dime aquí qué dice este papel. So you're there, reading an insurance paper, a tax paper, a letter that they got, etc. Ándale, ayúdame, ven, tráete un lapiceros, or call your sister. Dile a tu hermana que venga para que me ayude a llenar esto porque no sé qué dice, right? Imagine being 5, you're dropped off at kindergarten, your first day at school, and basically bueno, Dios te ayude, have a good day, and you're there learning English, but you have no idea what's going on really. Think about it. And I think it also depends on how much your parents made you speak Spanish at home. Some parents care, some parents don't, even till this day. I feel like Spanglish started early for us as a way to communicate better with our parents, because some of the words you only knew in English, right? Because that's what you were speaking when you were little. and some in only English, right? Because you're learning English in school. So hello, Spanglish came to be. I do my best to stick to one language and be mindful and read the room. But damn, sometimes I just can't. Back home with my parents or when I feel comfortable enough with people, se me sale. And I've noticed that other Latinos in the States talk Spanglish too. And when we're around people, when we hear it and they speak it, nobody really trips. It just comes out, right? So for example, like when I used to work at a staffing agency and my coworkers were Chicanos, we just talk Spanglish. That's how it was, right? You're comfortable enough to be like, that sounded funny. You're comfortable enough to be like, dude, ¿cómo se dice esto? Or how do you say this? Or you say something hella funny que you're like, dude, así no se dice. We're hella cracking up. And then we hella look at each other and we're like, I thought that's how you say it. But we know that when we say it, there's no judgment behind it because we can fuck up or we can just be laughing our asses off, right? And I'm not the only one who has thought about this or has gone through this whole así no se dice moment when we're just standing there feeling dumb, especially when you realize the story is now all messed up because you got interrupted to be corrected, or you're just standing there like a dumbass and you take it. Whoops. And honestly, sometimes people correct others because they don't want to feel excluded. Some people would rather correct you than try to understand you, and that breaks the connection. Now, let's keep it real. Some first-gen Latinos are culeros. Some do go back to their parents' country and speak English on purpose. Two things can't be true at once. Some things are done on purpose, right? And others, you legit don't know the word and you're trying to say it whatever in Spanish or in English. Talking about this took me a minute, because I realized I wasn't just thinking about the language. I felt like I had to defend first-gen kids. And then I realized being first-gen comes with the good, the bad, and everything else in between. Anyways, so I don't know, y'all. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? Am I tripping? Or do you agree? Or do you agree with some things? Because I know a lot of people say, especially first-gen Chicanos, because I say Chicanos, right? Because I'm Mexican American, right? In the community, lo que veo is that they're kind of like, well, it's your responsibility to learn the language. And I get it. And it's true. It's beautiful to be able to learn and know both languages. But like I said earlier, some first-gen Latinos or first-gen Chicanos for that matter, right? Que their parents didn't care whether they spoke English or Spanish because those kids never went back to Mexico or whatever country, ya no tienen esa conexión. So then I think the train of thought is like, well, I don't care if I speak English or not, Spanish or not, because no voy a regresar. I'm not going to go back. No tengo mis abuelitos que viven over there or tías or tíos. They just nada que ver. So slowly they lost that connection. And a lot of first gen también le echan la culpa to their parents, right? Because then they go back to Mexico y no sabe, or whatever country, y no saben hablar español. So then it's kind of like, well, what the fuck? Yeah, as an adult, it's your responsibility. But at the same time, some people don't think it's worth it because nada que ver. And also too, when you're for example, doesn't matter whether it's first gen Latina or Latino, you marry someone that's not from your culture, right? So let's just, por ejemplo, you marry a black guy, you marry an Asian, or you marry someone that's not Latino, then even more no vas a practicar el español. What happens if your partner doesn't care if they speak Spanish, or they don't care if they speak their language, which is Chinese, or for example, French or otra cosa. So I think it gets really murky. And then there's a whole generation of no sabo kids, how people call them and stuff. And I think that's where it gets tricky and stuff. And a lot of people say you should care because it's your heritage. How can you claim that you're proud to be Mexican or Latino or whatever y no sabes hablar el lenguaje? But I think that's a whole nother episode there. But anyways, I'm just thinking out loud. Son cosas que sometimes pienso and I'm like, that's interesting and stuff. But anyways, I'm going to let you all know. Acuérdense, these episodes are available on Spotify and on YouTube, Te Crees Muy Muy podcast. I know a lot of people are boycotting Spotify. So at the beginning, I started with Spotify and then people started boycotting. So por eso abrí el YouTube. Also too, y'all, I'm just going to be straight out. My Instagram is dead. Like literally, I'm posting as much as I can. I only have one follower. And I was hella laughing. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool and stuff. Estoy aprendiendo how to edit. And like I had mentioned in other episodes, I wasn't going to open a TikTok, but then I did it. And I have, as of today, I have 86 followers, I think, or 85. I think I lost one. But to me, that's a big deal because I wasn't planning. I'm not trying to 100% rely on social media to grow this podcast, because si se va social media, si se va TikTok, whatever, because of the craziness, lo que está pasando en este país, as an example, like social media should be used as a tool to help me grow the to help me grow the podcast, but I shouldn't be relying on it 24/7 or to fully, like, my strategy. I'm new to being an entrepreneur, and I'm not even saying right now, okay, this is my business. I mean, it is my business, but at the same time, I haven't made any money, obviously, or anything like that. I'm trying to build a community. Hopefully you guys feel like you guys are getting to know me better, y de las cosas que pienso and stuff like that. Anyways, that was too long. Now I'm rambling. I'm almost at like 15 minutes. I hope your week goes well, and I'll catch you all next week. All right, bye guys. Okay, y'all, just kidding. I'm back. So I was noticing that I was kind of like fucking up and stuff. I just didn't want to record the whole thing all over again. Dude, like, talk about hueva. So what I meant to say, and something, because I was trying to edit it, but I can't find it now and stuff, that when we were like little, like imagine being 5, right? And that's how Spanglish started for us. I meant to say that we talk, right? We spoke in Spanish, and then we started learning English. So then there were stuff that you would say in English to your parents, and then your parents somehow understood porque no sabía las palabras en español. So that's what I meant, because I listened to that and I was like, okay, let me mark it. And then the cursor kept moving y ya se me desapareció. So I just wanted to be, I wanted y'all to be aware of that I did catch it, pero me equivoqué, pues ya ni modo. So anyways, like I said, I hope you guys liked this episode, and I'll catch you guys next week. All right, bye guys. Okay, what y'all think of that episode? Les gustó? Not so much? Did it make y'all ponder, or just be like, esta morra no sabe nada? I just want y'all to feel seen and understood, not stressed out. Anyways, I'll catch y'all on the next episode, and remember, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, by Henry Ford. Thanks for stopping by. Share, comment, and engage. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Instagram at the Crees Muy Muy Podcast. Go engage and invite other homegirls. Let's build that community. If you want, feel free to DM me for topics. And with that, I'll catch you next time. Bye.